Hey everyone, Dave here at Tombstone Tech with a cheap creep for you. It's the adjustable LED spotlight. Before I get into that, I have to give a shout out to Jennifer and Kevin for the cool Halloween themed shirt I was gifted with, so thank you guys. I've seen a lot of videos online on how to make LED spotlights, and basically it means taking a properly wired up LED and putting it in some sort of casing and adding something to it that makes it mountable. They're all good videos, but I had an idea that kind of puts my own spin on it, and it might be something that you find useful, so let's go ahead and make it. So the things that you will need for making your spotlight are a properly wired LED. You can buy these, or you can make your own if you know how to do the wiring correctly. If you want to learn how to do the wiring correctly, watch my video on all about LEDs. You will also need some 1/2-inch PVC pipe, available at any hardware store, most hardware stores. You will need some galvanized wire. Now, I come from a background in film and animation, and I call this stuff armature wire because film industry artists will use wire like this to put inside of puppets and models to give them a bit of rigidity. If you go to an art store and you ask for armature wire, they will sell you this stuff for about 3 times the cost as if you went to the home improvement store and just asked for galvanized wire. So you'll need some of this. Get it at the home improvement store where it's cheaper. You will also need some sponge or foam padding. Now this is actually chair padding that was from another project, and I'm going to repurpose it into this. For tools, you will need a pair of scissors, something to cut the armature wire with, a pair of pliers, and a long screwdriver, Phillips or flathead, it really doesn't matter. Maybe. You might need this, you might not. I'll get to that. You're also going to need something to cut your PVC pipe with. Now, I like using one of these, again, available at most home improvement stores. It's pretty much specifically for cutting PVC pipe. I've used it for cutting hose. The great thing about it is that it gives you a nice clean cut, and you don't have to saw the PVC pipe with a hacksaw and make a lot of dust that has to be cleaned up. It gives you nice clean straight cuts. So if you do a lot of stuff with PVC, grab yourself one of these, 10, 12 bucks. So step 1 is to take your PVC pipe, and you want to cut off a length that's about 5 inches. Oops. Again, it doesn't have to be exact. I'm guessing that's about 5-ish inches. And you just cut that. See? Clean cut, no mess. It's a great tool. Get yourself one. So now you've got your length of PVC pipe. At this point, you have the option of painting it, as you see me doing right here. If you do paint them, use a good quality paint. If you let it dry overnight, you'll get a nice, clean, smooth finish on it. The paint stays sticky forever when you first spray it on, so give it overnight to dry. The next thing you want to do is you want to cut off a small square of the foam padding, and it needs to be about 1 inch or so square. Trim that up just a little bit. There we go. Again, these measurements don't have to be exact, and that's certainly not square, that's rectangular, but you just need a small piece of the foam padding like this. Now the next step is to take your pre-wired LED and your foam, and you just want to wrap the foam around the LED just like that. And then at the bottom part of the foam, take a piece of electrical tape, whoops, and just kind of tape the foam onto the wire. You want to make contact with the wire and the foam because you want that foam to go on there in such a way that the LED can't slide back and forth within the foam. You want the foam to stay with the LED wire. Now take your foam enwrapped LED, kind of pinch the foam down, and take your tube and just kind of shove it in there. Now this is the part where you might need a screwdriver. If your wire is stiff enough, and I think this one is, yeah, You can push the LED into the tube just using the wire. If not, take a screwdriver and just gently, poke it up in there. So now you can poke your LED all the way up to the top of the tube. Now, the foam does two things. Number one, it holds the LED in place, but the other thing that it does is really useful is that if you look in there, you can see that the LED is pretty much centered in the foam. It's a little bit off on this one, but usually you can kind of adjust it a little bit, that's better, and get it right in the middle of the foam. Now to make a mounting device for your LED spotlight, that's what you need: the armature wire, galvanized steel wire. And you want to cut off a piece of this that is, maybe 1.5 feet, 2 feet long. Now you might be tempted to use coat hanger for this. Cut off a piece of coat hanger and straighten it out and use it. That would work, I suppose, but the coat hanger wire is thicker and harder than this stuff. This stuff is just a lot easier to work with. Now, if you've painted your spotlight case, at this point you might want to take a scrap piece of PVC pipe like this to make the stand for it. Now, what you're going to do to make the stand is put your PVC pipe roughly in the middle of the wire and start bending the wire around the PVC pipe and get it on there a good 3 or 4 turns. There you go, just like that. Then you can kind of scrunch it together. And then you end up with something that looks like this, like one of those old water heaters used to immerse in water. And I only know about those because I'm getting old. So now that you have this thing, you can slip your spotlight in there and then take the two ends and twist them together. And I find that this works a lot better. Give it a starter twist. This works a lot better if you use a pair of pliers. And this is actually what this stuff is made for. It's made for bundling up construction materials, among other things, but just give it a couple of twists. It'll tighten down this part and makes it so that now you have something that can hold the light, and you can also bend the light to aim it. And you can take these stakes that stick out of the bottom and just stick them right in the ground. I've done a lot of that. You could also make a loop out of them at the top and hang them on a nail and still be able to adjust this. You could also, I suppose, put this on a post and duct tape it on there really good because it's pretty light. It should hold pretty well. Or you could use some zip ties to tie it in place. But that's basically how you make the light. Now, how you use it. Remember how you shove the wire and you got the LED up to the top? Again, that foam holds the LED in place, and it allows you, if you look closely, to kind of pull that LED back into the tube or push it back out to the front of the tube. Now, why is that important? Let me show you. Okay, I've turned off my lights, and as you can see, I'm lighting myself up with the LED. But if I move out of the way and I point this at my workbench, you can see it, kind of gives you a big wash of light. Now here's the cool part. If you grab the wire and you start gently pulling that wire backwards, the beam of light gets narrower and narrower and narrower and comes down to a spot which you can use to highlight an individual prop or something like that if that's what you need it for. And then at the same time you can also push the LED forward and it becomes, once again, more of a floodlight. So that is the adjustable LED spotlight. I hope that's something that you will find useful. So go out and make some stuff for Halloween, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks.